everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we're once again going to be going over Tropical Storm Nestor. So, as you do know from yesterday, I did say it would be named. It was named a little later than I did think, but right now we are at 60-mile-per-hour winds. As you can see right here, we are at 60-mile-per-hour winds. So this thing is moving very fast northeast at 22 miles an hour, which is a pretty good thing, but this has some pretty good winds. Also, it is going to be dropping quite a bit of rainfall very fast, which will trigger flash flooding for many people. And we also do have a storm surge concern for some people on the western coast of Florida. So we do need to get straight into this video, and if you do go on to enjoy today's video, consider subscribing and leaving a like down below, and let's go ahead and get into it. So you can see in these reds right here, we do have these tropical storm warnings. These are all the way from the panhandle of Florida through also through parts of coastal Alabama, coastal Mississippi. You can see them. And then southeastern coastal Louisiana, we do have it too. So this is where tropical storm conditions are very likely, and they're going to be here pretty soon. The storm is moving very fast, as I did say. We are going to definitely start seeing the worst of our impacts tonight and part of tomorrow morning across these red zones where we do have the tropical storm warnings once again. So there, tropical storm conditions are happening in the next few hours throughout tonight, and it won't be too much of a huge, prolonged event. It won't last too long, but you will still see quite a few impacts. And you can see in this light brown right here, we do have some wind advisories right here. So here is where we'll still have some of those intense winds, maybe not as intense, but we do, we could see some pretty high gusts, and the winds won't be light. We'll still see some pretty big winds, but, it'll be on the lower, it won't be on the scale of a tropical storm. It'll just be, for the wind advisory. So, and also another reason would be in these tropical storm warnings, we do have a lot of the rain. So, the rain has to kind of be a factor when it does come to these tropical storm warnings, and the storm surge, of course, too. So this could just be, they may have some of the same winds, but maybe a little bit less, or it could just be they don't have the rain and the storm surge to add on to it, so it's just a wind advisory. But usually they would make that a high wind watch or warning. So I'm just saying probably anywhere from 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gust, and then maybe 25 to 30 mile per hour sustained winds. So still pretty strong winds, could knock out power if you do get any of those outer rain bands to come through. And that is especially for the red areas where we'll have really bad winds, the worst of our winds, and a lot of rain for some regions, and also some storm surge for some people across the Big Bend of Florida, across midway of the central West Florida coast. So you can see right here, here's the track that they are expecting. This is the National Hurricane Center. You can see in these blues those the tropical storm warnings we were looking at. At 1 p.m. Friday, you can see this is where the winds are extending out to. So you can see the wind field is pretty big on this, where that circle is. That's how far this tropical storm that's how much these tropical storm winds are extending. So you can see it's extending pretty far, and this is planned to make landfall sometime tomorrow morning around 7 a.m. You can see. So I don't know what I'm really going to do for it yet, but I'll probably do another video on it tomorrow if I do have time. I am going to get hit by this. As many of you do know, I live in the southeast, so I will be filming it Saturday night when I am affected. Most of the southeast will be affected Saturday night, so I will be filming that. I'll stay up all night, and I'll be getting you some really good footage. So I do hope you all enjoy that, but I'll probably just make another video on it tomorrow, and then do a video of the effects for me maybe Sunday or Monday. So I haven't decided yet, but be ready for that to come. You can see it stays a tropical storm across the whole southeast. It'll weaken as it's on land, of course, but since this thing is moving so fast, it won't have as the land won't affect it as much because it'll be moving so fast that it won't have as much time to weaken. So it probably just will be a tropical storm through landfall through North Carolina. It still could be a tropical storm once it enters the Atlantic again. There is the possibility this could go to a Category 1 hurricane before landfall. We'll have to see. I've been watching that. I'm not expecting it, but it definitely could happen. So we're gonna have to watch out. But that's not going to be too much of a difference. It's like a 15 mile per hour difference from what we have right now, so it's nothing too different. But you can see the track right here in that white. That is where this system will be going across the Florida Panhandle to Georgia to South Carolina, North Carolina, then moving out to sea most likely. There's the possibility it could turn a little bit northwest and affect the northeast, which I am watching and we'll have to see in the coming days. So you can see right here are our storm surge warnings in these pinks. This is where we could see some pretty bad storm surge up to 5 feet in some regions, especially across here is where my main concern is for that storm surge. But anywhere in here up to 5 feet is definitely possible for that storm surge, so that is not a good thing. And if we were actually to look right here at our storm surge, you can see in these blues is where we're up to 1 foot of storm surge. So minor storm surge. So storm surge is where the ocean does come on land, and you'll just have like 1 foot of water on top of what it usually is. And you can see we do have a lot of that in those blues. But you can see in those yellow specks, that's where we could have 3 to 5 feet of storm surge. So it's definitely a big possibility across here. You can see in those yellows. And then down into here, this is my biggest concern area right here. You can see this does go on land through this river. And you can see how it gets pretty far inland. And this is a big area of almost 5 feet storm surge. So if you're anywhere right here, there's a big concern for some storm surge to come inland, which is never a good thing. You can see Cross City, Trenton, Chiefland, all could be getting close to that. You can see some of these areas might be affected, but we're gonna have to see how much this does drop. There's a possibility for maybe 6 foot. If you do see any oranges, that'll be around 6 foot of storm surge, so do watch out for that, because that is if you see that, that's 6 foot of storm surge the orange would be. So you can see 3 to 5 feet in those yellows once again, and then in those blues 1 foot. And if we were to keep looking, you can see this is a pretty big area, 3 to 5 feet. So if you're anywhere, as I was just saying, if you're anywhere in these regions, in these yellows especially, right here is where my main concern is for storm surge. So you can see that, and then you can see how this comes on land, which is a big concern because it could go inland and affect people inland, of course, because that's not, it's never a good thing. And you can see how, there's a big area, 3 to 5 feet of storm surge. So we'll have to watch out for that in those yellows. And we're, 5 feet I'm expecting to be our max, but we'll definitely have to see how intense this could get. But right now, 5 feet is our biggest, but you can see affecting many people across parts of western Florida. You can see, it's a pretty big system when it does come to storm surge for some regions. But you can see in other areas where we're getting a lot of our rain and wind impacts, especially, not seeing as much just because, the onflow of the winds won't be going, the ocean, it won't be going that way. So the ocean will be coming on land this way. So it'll be going in like this. And you can see that's what we are expecting when it does come to the storm surge. Just we could see some minor to moderate storm surge across these regions. Could get a little bit major, we'll have to see. But if you're anywhere across these regions, be ready for some storm surge. Storm surge is one of the worst parts of a tropical system. Any system that does have it, that is not a good thing. That'll probably be the worst part of it. So definitely be ready for that. If you're ordered to evacuate in any regions where you are being affected, do evacuate. Even if it's voluntary, definitely do think about evacuating. If it's mandatory, get out of there. But I'm not expecting them to do mandatory. I don't know if they will. But definitely, I bet there will be some voluntary evacuations. But I don't know, since we're so close, I don't know if they're going to call for it. But I bet a lot of people maybe have evacuated because they do want to be safe. But if you are ordered to evacuate, just do it. It's, it's better to be safe than sorry. So you can see right here I'm actually going to zoom in on the southeast if it does let me. I'm pretty sure it will. I'm going to zoom in on the southeast and show you where we'll see our big impacts across the southeast. If this will load, of course, because we had this problem the other day where it wasn't really loading. So you can, yeah, okay, there we go. So if we were to look at the southeast, you can see right here how we're about to zoom in. You can see Erie County, so it's a good thing up close. You can see the states of Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, you can see Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, Kentucky. You can see West Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, which are a lot of areas that could be affected. Mainly these regions will be affected when it does come to the system. So if you're anywhere in here, definitely do watch out for your county. But let's go ahead and look at what this is going to do. So you can see this time period we are looking at right here will be throughout tonight. And also, we'll be getting really close tonight. This thing is really getting fast. And you can see we already do have some outer bands reaching parts of Louisiana, getting really close to the Mississippi, Alabama, and you can see the Panhandle, Florida coastlines. And you can see how that heavy rain will start to enter. We'll have gusty winds on these outer bands. Severe weather is definitely possible when it does come to these outer bands. I do think we could see some isolated severe storms, quick spin-ups of tornadoes. It's never out of the picture, especially in that northeastern quadrant of the storm. We do usually see the severe weather. And you can see the heaviest of the rain will come on land throughout tonight into tomorrow. Winds will start to howl, get pretty big. Probably will be somewhere around 60 to 70 mile per hour. And you can see how around tomorrow, somewhere tomorrow morning, we'll have a landfall, and that is when the center of the storm does come on land. And you can see it does extend a lot of the impacts to all of Florida. This outer band will swing across here, and you can see we do have a lot of these, a lot of rain going across Alabama, Alabama, Georgia, the Panhandle of Florida. And if we were to keep going, and you can see other parts of Florida will be impacted by this outer band that we are seeing right here that could pop up. And you can see how it does keep moving north pretty quickly throughout your Saturday. This is a little delayed, so this may be going a little faster. That may be up here, but not too much of a delay when it does come to this timing that's here, but a little bit of a delay, but it should be pretty on point with the timing. I will let you see the time now up there. So take about 6 hours off of that for the East Coast. So 14Z, let's say that would be around, this is saying, I don't know, but take away 6 from 2 o'clock. I think it would be. Take away 6 from 4 o'clock. 4 to 6, I forgot which one it was, but this is probably going to be late Saturday morning, most likely. So you can see how we keep moving up throughout the day, and it should enter the North Carolina. You can see moving into Charlotte, maybe into the southwestern parts of North Carolina first. You can see Florida, the Panhandle of Florida, and all these regions are starting to get out of it. That's a big concern for the cleanup. We're going to see how much we're going to have to clean up. This is not a huge major storm, but this rain, there will be a lot of it at one time. There's a lot of moisture with this system. Maybe not the wind is the craziest, but there definitely is a lot of rain. So you can see throughout this is going to be your afternoon into your evening, and you can see that we do have this rain across South Carolina, western North Carolina, moving into Tennessee, also Alabama, Georgia. You can see the heavy rains that we see right here. There are some heavy pockets in those yellows and those oranges. And you can see how we keep seeing this move up pretty fast. We will see definitely some gusty winds with this. This will still be tropical storm strength. Very likely it will still be, since this is moving so quick. It could pull up. Remember Hurricane Michael? It was so strong at landfall. It did weaken, but it did stay as a tropical storm pretty much throughout its whole voyage across the southeast. I'm not saying this will be like Michael, but I'm just saying that's an example of a storm staying as a tropical storm. Now, you do have to remember that was a Category 5 hurricane, but still, in some of these regions, you may have saw those tropical storm impacts that's going across, so it may be a little bit like Michael for maybe South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. That's just an example of what this could be like for you. And you can see this has it somewhere around central South Carolina right here. You can see Charlotte, North Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina getting affected. You can see right here, right west, actually right along the Appalachian Mountains, you can see we do have some pretty heavy rains in place. Moving into West Virginia and Virginia, North Carolina is getting filled in. South Carolina is getting hit pretty hard. And you can see we keep going on. We get battered pretty hard. But you can see this is moving very quickly, so it should just be a Saturday night event for a lot of the southeast. It would be for Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Virginia. And, even parts of Florida could be getting affected at that time. You can see we keep moving on. This will probably be late night Saturday. You can see big bunches of rain across central North Carolina, and it's really heavy rain in place. Raleigh, you'll be getting into it. And you can see along the Appalachian Mountains still some pretty heavy rains. Moving up into parts of southern Pennsylvania, you can see some rain. Also Virginia, West Virginia, you can see definitely it's starting to move out of South Carolina. And you can see we keep going, and you can see this starts to affect the heaviest of the rains, southeastern Virginia, moving into northeastern North Carolina. And you can see how we do have a lot of this rain that is around here. We still do have a lot of this rain that will definitely be falling throughout your Saturday night. So if we were to keep going, you can see really heavy rain Sunday morning for southeastern Virginia. We do see some rain moving out of North Carolina by that time, maybe a few showers around. Coastal North Carolina, you're still in it Sunday morning. But, central and western, it'll start moving out, but maybe a few showers, as I was just saying. So if we were to go back to the regions, let's go ahead and zoom into the northeast and watch this as it does make its trek up there. So you can see rains moving into southern New York. Also, as we move into Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Virginia still being affected pretty hard. Delaware, Maryland, the coastal areas of there, you can see getting hit hard. D.C., you'll be getting hit hard Sunday morning and afternoon. And you can see how this does keep moving pretty quickly. This is different than the National Hurricane Center prediction. As you do remember, it moved out like around when it got to the North Carolina coast, you do remember the track was a little different, but this is maybe taking a track like this, as you can see, but it's actually taking a track something like this. So it's a little bit off, it's a little bit off of their forecast, but it could definitely happen. This is definitely, this, not saying this is out of the question. You can see it keeps moving, affecting parts of the northeast. Definitely possible, not determined, but especially the southeast we know is going to be affected, but we're going to have to see about the northeast impacts. And you can see this model has it hitting the northeast, not bringing the heaviest rains, but maybe some gusty winds along with some rain, and you can see how it does move out definitely by your Monday, sometime on your Monday, moving out completely, or it could be moving out Sunday afternoon if it does take the National Hurricane Center's track, as you can see moving out sometime Sunday afternoon. Which I do definitely think will happen, but this model is not wrong a lot of times, so we're definitely going to see what is right. So if we were to look at pivotal weather really quick, we're going to look at the weather prediction center's forecast for some of this rainfall that we're going to be seeing. So if we were to look right here, if we were to go ahead and zoom into the southeast, we'll go into the mid-Atlantic next, but we're going to start with the southeast, and you can see how we do have some pretty good amounts. Now you do have to remember the storm's moving very fast, so the the main, like, we we're not going to see a foot of rain, but we definitely still could see a lot at one time, which would trigger flash flooding, which is never a good thing. So you can see right here maybe 3 to 4 inches of rain in those yellows, and then in these reds, wherever you do see them, probably 2 to 3 inches, and then in your purples that's 1 to 3 inches. But you can see right here this forecast has most of the rain staying right here. Now you do remember the other forecast had a lot of the impacts just a little bit more west, the one we were just looking at, so we're going to have to see which way it does shift. But we're still seeing it going somewhere across the southeast, and all the southeast is getting good rain. But I have saw a trend a little bit more west in the past day, which is something that it's very slight, but I have saw it, so we're going to have to see if that trend does continue, but we'll have to see. And you can see southeastern Louisiana picking up a little bit on the very tip, but you can see 1 inch very widespread across North Carolina, a lot of South Carolina, a lot of Georgia, moving into Florida. We do have some from those outer bands, and if we were to move once again, I did say we're going to move into the mid-Atlantic regions. You can see right here, we do definitely see, you remember 1 inch for North Carolina, pretty widespread from Raleigh to Charlotte to maybe Asheville. Asheville, you may be a little bit less than 1 inch, but you'll be close. And you can see how we do have it there. And you can see we do have some rain dropping across Virginia. This doesn't have too much. West Virginia doesn't have too much. But I do think we definitely will see I do think we could definitely see some rain there. If this takes a little bit more western turn like the NAM model did, we'll have to see. That definitely could happen. We could shift this all a little bit more west, but we'll definitely have to see how that does shape out. This is by the professionals, so I do definitely agree with this. If it does take the one track that a lot of people are thinking right now, we're going to see if it does happen. But this is what we are looking at. If you're in those purples, 1 inch. If you're in those reds, 2 to 3 inches. If you're in the greens, probably a tenth of an inch to a half an inch. And then if you're in those blues, probably 3/4 of an inch to an inch. So yeah, guys, I hope you did enjoy today's video. If you did, consider subscribing and leaving a like down below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.